Hi, this is Bishop Bob with the TMCI 5-minute word of encouragement and equipping. Today I want to talk to you about another part of the effective ministry, and that is team building. In order for you to grow, you're going to need people that help you. Realistically, you can only minister effectively to about 60 people. So you'll need other people to come around and help you if your ministry is going to grow. Team members should be people that will strengthen your weak areas or your blind spots. Now, if you don't think you have weaknesses or blind spot, that's your first blind spot. We all do. I know I need people around me, and God has blessed me with a team that fills in where I am weak, and because of that, TMCI has a stronger ministry. Now, the first rule in choosing a member for the team is to make sure that they're interested and motivated. Never, and I say never, try to talk somebody into doing the job, because you will not like the results. And unfortunately, what usually happens is that you have to remove them. That's an embarrassment. And many people have left the church or the ministry or even the faith because of this embarrassment. So let's make sure that we do not lay hands on people too quickly. In order to keep people motivated, though, and interested, though, I encourage you to have them in on the planning stages of the ministry. That's one thing to say. God's called us to minister to this neighborhood. Here's some tracts, go pass them out. But it's another thing to say to them, God's called us to minister in this neighborhood. How do you think we ought to do that? You see, they get into the planning stage. That becomes part of their ministry. And eventually you can put them in the leadership position in that area so God could use you more effectively in another area. And that's frankly how ministries grow. When recruiting volunteers, be realistic about amount of time you're going to ask them to spend. If you say it's 2 hours and it turns out to be 4 hours, you could cause some problems in that volunteer's home. We need not to be causing problems in a home, especially if the spouse is not a Christian. So we got to be realistic in the amount of time we're asking them to spend. Another thing is important is that you need to tell the people who they're working with. Now, why is that important? Well, I know we Christians love each other. That's a commandment. But sometimes we can't work with each other. So we need to be realistic to put people together so there's unity on the team. And let me tell you, if there's a problem arise, you as a leader need to deal with it promptly, because small problems become big problems if they're not. So look for people that can easily work together and have a like-minded. Uh, Lastly, I want to talk to you about what I call the Judas syndrome. When my wife and I started to help lead TMCI, we went around and visited a lot of ministry. And the number one reason we found out that people weren't in ministry was that they had laid hand on somebody too quickly. Now, I know we think, well, that's a new believer. No, these were mature people that came from other churches or other ministries. And they said, oh, we identify with your ministry. But in fact, they didn't. And they caused problems. So do not put somebody in a leader position until they walk with you 6 months to a year, because you don't know what baggage they're bringing in from another ministry. Let me tell you, if you have somebody that's come out of a church split, or they're bringing a rebellious spirit with them, and they need to be ministered to before you put them in any kind of leadership, so that spirit doesn't come on your ministry. And the other thing is, you need to make sure that their theology lines up with your theology. I had a pastor that wanted to start a school. He had worked 9 years in this area, and he just decided he needed to start that school that fall. And he laid hands too quickly on a couple, and they came down and they looked at it. And then they found out that he was Pentecostal. They weren't. They went around telling everybody he was of the devil. In 3 months, they destroyed 9 years of work. So let's make sure that people line up with your theology and that you don't take and lay hands on them too quickly. So next week, I'm going to be talking a little bit more about what effective ministry is. You have a blessed week. and look forward to seeing you next week.